Okay, so I've been thinking about this most of the day and trying to work. I have worked, but it sort of in the back of my mind, I thought about this and I I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I really hope what I'm about to say is indicative of the fact that I'm overthinking, which unfortunately overthinking's great, sort of, but overthinking can make you go down rabbit holes that are not helpful because there is such a thing as confirmation bias and you know, seeking only information that confirms your own position. So, because what has been talked about and mentioned in the Larry Stylinson Reddit and just the Twitterverse and all that is the pointing out that Zara McDermott has made some statements and is a known conservative and has made obviously some controversial statements um, if it is true. So, given that, I'm not going to mention exactly what are the statements that Zara McDermott has said. I'm not going to give that airtime, but enough different chatter has been said that it appears that some of these statements have been recorded. So, nonetheless, I think people can be controversial, and that's great. But then when you get aligned with another person, whether it's business or not, yes, okay, Zara did promote Brexit and also some made some immigration views known that have not endeared her. And unfortunately, when you align with somebody that is well known like Louis, because these statements that she made in the last, say, couple of years, they're now associated with her. It's kind of like the phenomenon of, show me who your friends are, I'll tell you what you are. Because when she got with Louis, the interest in her increased because of who Louis is, and then these comments of hers have come to surface, and they're being unfortunately spilled onto Louis because people usually assume that if you're dating somebody, you're going to think the same way, which not necessarily true, but given the more controversial the statement, the more likely it is that there's going to be this pushback. So that said, this is basically what I'm going to call an open letter to Louis Tomlinson and the Louis Tomlinson fans. And my point is, and I'm recording this late, so if I'm not coherent, I apologize. So there is sort of speculation that because of a contract with BMG that's ending, and again, I haven't had time to go look into this because there's just too much information right now. Because of this thing that's ending, perhaps the management is trying to mess over Louis one last time. So my mind kind of hooked on that because, of course, it would. And I kind of commented to somebody else in a Larry Stylinson group that we have to stick with Louis because the reason, if there is an area where Louis is very strong, it is in his fandom. And clearly, despite the blacklisting, the ferocity of the fandom in Louis's case is particularly a key asset. Now, who else would know this? It would be the handlers and the powers that be, right? Now, yes, they've long left the contract. He long escaped Simon Cowbell, but the mothership is still Sony, according to some fans. And if you look up the company records, that is true because there's very very few players in the music business, right? Like there's all these labels and whatnot, but ultimately they all report to the mothership of Sony or BMG or whoever it is. I don't know much about the industry, but needless to say, there's not a lot of players. It's like an oligarchy. So I think that given that Louis and Liam stood up for the rest of the boys in One Direction and kind of got shafted in the end because as much as they successfully advocated for the band being the kind of the two tag team leaders, they got they kind of got punished for it, where people are like not playing his music. Meanwhile, Harry would have this $20 million marketing budget, and people were told to, uh, they were paid to play it. So like the amount of like album plays and song plays on radio stations, whatnot, for Harry was there, but then the opposite was there for Liam and Louis. But Louis really, in particular, has endured. And so, if you want to just shaft an artist, right? If you want to really, it's clearly, if this is true, this is some serious vindictiveness that is persisting. It's very fucking high school. But if you want to continue to kind of punish this person who got out from under you, because people are petty, and I kind of think there's a lot of interesting personalities in the music business based on some of the really weird stuff that you're hearing from the Diddy trial. Um, if you're going to want to shaft the artist, what do? You attack their base. You attack the base that, even without Louis asking, they have come out in full force consistently since One Direction went on hiatus. Now, Louis is powerful in that his base is showing up for him. And so, what way, it's kind of like a divide and conquer strategy. What way can you erode one of his most powerful assets? Is you make the base mad, you make the base get so fed up. These people are smart. I think what I found really interesting in grad school was that the practice of public relations and marketing was brought to the United States by the nephew of Sigmund Freud. So PR is the business application of the psychology concepts and underpinnings of one of the father of modern psychology. And so, with that said, these people, they have whole marketing departments that will, if it's like you'd think they'd have better things to do, but when people are emotionally vindictive, they'll do anything. But they have people that will analyze fan boards. They'll analyze, social media chatter. They'll analyze, because there's algorithms and there's AI who can do this. And so they know, kind of, you can get a good pulse based on the level of data and patterns of what people are saying. And based on that, you can either use it for like something positive, or you can use it destructively. And it's possible that they're using it destructively. So by putting Louis with Zara, you have this mismatch of success and mismatch of sort of public persona and brand identity, and you also have a growing exasperated portion of the fan base that's kind of getting sick of stunts in general, and particularly are have been there for a long time and have been supportive of Louis, and have taken, unfortunately, flack from other sections of the One Direction fanverse who are very anti Larry. And then you put this person who has made comments that are really kind of controversial, meaning Zara, with Louis. And so the stunt alone is going to make the fans annoyed. So if the stunt was with someone else, they would have been just, oh, one more bullshit, right? One more this. But then they amped it up by they picking Zara of all people. It's like, it would have been much more effective to just either bring back Eleanor for a third time, or get somebody similar to an Eleanor, who I've talked about in other videos, was very classy, understated, just didn't have this history of saying or doing things that were like really shocking, right? Because Brexit was a big deal. Brexit was being covered, and it was really controversial, and it crossed into a space where people said things, especially around immigration, that were really, yeah, not the most harmonious, shall we say. So it sounds like Zara is tainted now by uh, by combining the stunt and picking someone like Zara. It inflamed the base. They probably knew, if I'm right, and again, I really hope it's just my mind overthinking and just uh, just going down crazy rabbit holes. I really do hope I'm wrong, but they've inflamed the base, and so people are unfollowing Louis. People are really mad. There was that open letter. So now I'm starting to think, and I really hope this is what happens when you're alone with your thoughts and you're watching way too much soap operas. But that Reddit post of the open letter to Louis Tomlinson that since got deleted, I screenshotted a portion of it. I kind of wonder because of the way it was written now in retrospect, which I am not suggesting anything other than I'm just speculating because I don't know anybody. I don't know these people. I have no idea who wrote that. Is it was a really intelligent post, and I I think it was really written by a human, but then I wonder what were the intentions? Was that post to get people all stirred up because the iron was hot and they struck? Because why did they delete it? People were having respectful responses. I even thought, it really. I think some fans have really invested a lot, and they've not only invested a lot, but they've traveled and they've spent money. I mean, over like 15 years. Yeah, you get too close to it, right? Now I think that post was that actually a fan that was exasperated, or were they stirring the pot? Because now I don't know. Um, but what is trackable, what is quantifiable, is that Louis is getting unfollowed. That people are saying, that this doesn't look good. Are you like Zara? Um, People are just saying they're feeling betrayed because they've taken so much flack from the antis and the fandom that doesn't believe in Larry. And unfortunately, online can get really toxic really quickly, not just in this situation, but just in general. I think if you've been watching what's been happening on social media for the last 10 years, I mean, it's amazing what happens when things go viral and they take a life of their own. It's great when it's positive, like everyone raises money to like rescue, a community, or it can get really toxic where people can really just really be mean. Um, but if there was this orchestrated effort, it seems to be accomplishing somewhat of its objective. So what does this all mean? It means, hey, we're all here for his music. Okay. Like it's undisputed amongst the fans what a phenomenally talented songwriter Louis Tomlinson is. He did have one of the most writing credits, him and Liam. That's undisputed. So if you like his music, and clearly there's aspects of his personality and his story, and he is the underdog. Let's just call it what it is. Yeah, that was his appeal, but that's also the truth. Um, Stay for the music, because if for whatever reason Zara is not a stunt, and as much as we dislike her, the fact of the matter is we're here for the music. Louis looks uncomfortable with her, and probably won't last anyway, even if it is real. But ultimately, we are not here to dictate his personal life as much as maybe we might think that we know better because we don't. But we're here for the music. All that we should really care about is that he's coming out with a good album. Harry and him will be okay. And I think that Harry, looking so depressed the last couple of months, now it's sort of really making sense to me because I do think Harry's a bit of an empath. And was Liam Payne had said that Harry has a sixth sense that if something's wrong, Harry will call. I saw a post about that. And him and Liam kind of became distant after the band went on hiatus. So if Harry is an empath, even to say Liam, who he fell off the grid with, like they didn't have a fight, but just they just drifted. Could you imagine somebody he twins with and still mirrors with after all these years? I mean, my pain is your pain. That I could imagine Harry feeling the burden of it because he feels so deeply. I will give him that. So ultimately, let's just stay with Louis, focus on the music. Let's just think about all the great stuff he's still yet to write. He's amazingly talented. Let's not give any energy to this Sarah chick because I don't know, I don't know what else she's doing, but I just don't think that there's anything else that can keep people interested. And alienating a portion of the population because of some controversial views don't help. And the other thing that I sort of theorized is that Louis doing this to help his sisters, which I talked about in the last video. So I guess this portion here is my message to Louis Tomlinson. Sweetheart, all you have to do Because even when you don't ask, your fans have shown up consistently. Sweetheart, if you want us to support Phoebe and Daisy and watch their show, sweetie, I will switch my VPN because I do have that. I'll switch my VPN so that I can access and watch the show. Because if it's only going to broadcast in the UK or certain regions in Europe, and I'm in the US, I know if I switch my VPN, I can watch the show if it's streamed online. Okay, um, your fans will show up. You don't need to do this, and we will come back. Actually, if you just dump this this Zara thing, if it is a stunt, if you don't have to continue doing this. You know why? Because if you were doing this to help your sister's new project, launch really successfully, just tweet, post. I don't care what you do. Just ask us, and we'll be there. Okay. I do think that if the sisters did ask him for help, I don't think they necessarily asked him to do the Zara thing. I think he probably went overboard being the protective big brother, and so you gotta love him for that part because that's consistent. So Louis, whatever you want us to do that like supports your sister and Lottie and whatever, just tweet and ask us. We're here.